Alright, hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, Endwalker. Tonight we're going to be finishing the final role quest, the Master Role Quest, I believe it's officially called. Let's do a quick recap of everyone. The Caster Role Quest. Ah, my Lord Coda, when you have a moment, I'm ever eager to hear about your adventures. From Salominsa. The Melee DPS role. Thank the notorious commander of the company heroes would show his face after all these years. Gridania, the tank role quest. While the Veil of Despair has been lifted from Gridania, our work is far from finished. It will take time, effort for its people to accept the peace's return. News of your victory will surely help to spread that process along. Alamigo and Ulda, the healer role quest. I cannot thank you enough for assisting the Blasphemy Hunters in Alamigo, and for your work in addressing the root cause of the phenomenon. We as a country have been made to take a long, hard look at ourselves and the way we treat each other. Perhaps now we can pave a way to a better future, as one. Allow me to offer my thanks on behalf of my comrades posted at Alamigo. Blasphemy finally dealt with, they can all breathe sighs of relief. Doma, the ranged DPS. Thanks to you, the people of Doma have earned a short reprieve from the woes that befell our world. Should I find time to visit Swallow's Compass, I shall keep you in my prayers as I pay respects. Shirabot. Now the Master Role Quest. Bitter Snow. The glint in Shirabot's eyes suggests she was hoping you might pass through. Well, Vincent Coda, all-around good egg and champion of, well, the whole world, I suppose. Word travels fast, my friend. We've all heard about your exploits in defeating the blasphemies that plague the good people of Eorzea and Doma. Sadly, there are other fell beasts yet want for slaying, but fear not. Our efforts to bring them low proceed apace. We have not but glad tidings from our allies. Perhaps the most surprising report came from Werelit, though, where soldiers led by the infamous Black Wolf alongside Alamigan troops for yet another hard-earned victory. Reports from Garlemald, however, suggest another blasphemy threat lurks in the snows, and we've received a petition for assistance. There's one in Garlemald, huh? Strange, don't you think? When the effects of the final days began to spread in earnest, we encountered a great many monsters in Garlemald, but never a blasphemy. And to make matters worse, they say the Garleans who chose to remain and rebuild have begun transforming into yet more hideous creatures. From what I understand, it was you and your comrades who brought an end to the source from the final days, is that right? Even so, it would appear its effects will linger a while longer, until this malevolent influence on Akasa subsides. I dare say this won't be the last time we hear such sightings. As for the blasphemy, we have reason to believe it's a good deal stronger than any we've faced thus far. Your strength and experience will prove quite valuable, if you're willing to help, of course. Of course. Truly, our contacts in Charlian will be thrilled to hear it, although they did not explicitly request your presence. It's clear from the first they were hoping for it. Though if I may be frank, I was not expecting Charlian of all places to be so concerned with the present state of Garlemald, but with their strict policies of non-intervention. Perhaps we'll find out the reason before this is all over. But that's an inquiry for another time. I'll not keep you any longer. Once you arrive in Garlemald, I should think the intelligence officer stationed there will be more than happy to appraise the situation. Can't broken glass. And I was so busy reminiscing about the previous expansions, I forgot. We do technically have one last country we need to help. And even though it's very recent, it's still pretty important to a lot of people. Rage quitter. Oh, what weapon is that? Augmented Oknos? Oh, that's the Hades staff. Okay. Someone else is doing it too. Dark Knight. Feather. The blue feather weapons are from the final boss, Endsinger Extreme. The scythe skin I'm using right now for my Reaper is the Sickle of the Round. Normally, they don't add weapons for new jobs from previous expansions, but since the ultimate they added was Ultimate Dragonsong War, basically a what-if recap of the Heavensward expansion, they decided to add a Reaper and basically all the missing jobs for Thornton's weapon, blank of the round weapons. And they have a pretty nice little glow to them. And of course, I mentioned last time I'm a big fan of the Reaper's gear from Asphodelos, which is pretty neat actually. Usually, basically, the 8-player raids only go once every 2 patches. We're going to get one in the odd-numbered patches. Yeah, so yeah, no, at base point 0, so at Endwalker, it arrived a few weeks later, and it hit at... And we're going to get another one in point 2, which is going to be coming in a few months as of time of stream. Yeah, leave it to me to date the stream immediately if you're watching this on VOD. And we won't get another one until 04. So yeah, even number patches. The odd number patches are the 24-player raids. And they usually end at around the point 5. So... But yeah, so in all, in terms of waves of 8-player raids, we usually get about 3. And usually my favorite is usually the second or third. Endwalker's the first time I quite like the starting set. Although I guess I should probably try the Savage version just because then I can get the paintable version. Although, the Pantheon stuff is from the 24-player. Feel mixed. I will admit I have a bit of mixed feelings about the game relying on completely on vertical progression. On one hand, it does mean anytime there's a new update, you're pretty much guaranteed to have some upgrades that will be relevant to you. But on the other hand, it also means you can't keep stuff permanently. Now granted, you can still keep skins for it, that's why I have really old relic weapons like the, oh, Excalibur. This is from A Realm Reborn, the Paladin weapon from A Realm Reborn, so it's very old now. Brunello Eureka. The Stormblood expansion weapon for Red Mage. There's a bunch of these. They'll look pretty nice, at least in my opinion. So it is nice that I can just equip them as a skin anytime I want, but it does mean there's not too much variance in builds for each individual job, although I suppose the fact that I can swap jobs at will without having to swap to any alt characters doesn't, like, make up for it. I mean, if I ever feel like doing a bit more ranged combat, I can be a dancer or red mage here. Well, red mage, a jack of all trades. I'm in melee half the time, after all. Yeah. Or if I just want to be a tank, or if I'm worried about taking too much damage, I can always tank. Admittedly, this was a much bigger issue when A Realm Reborn first fell, because only a fraction of the amount of jobs you see here were available. There was just Paladin, Warrior, White Mage Scholar, Bard, Black Mage, Summoner, Monk and Dragoon, with Ninja being added later. So the amount of jobs was a lot lower, so it felt a lot more like I was restricted, especially since every job only had one spec. But now that they're regularly adding new jobs, that means that a new spec can functionally be a new job, be dealt with by just swapping jobs. Especially since there's a decent amount for each role now. Ranged physical is about the only lacking one, but in terms of raw numbers, that is. Although, Blue Mage is a bit different. Limited job, yeah. It has a different level cap and different content you do with it. It's kind of weird. It was definitely an experimental thing, but I do at least appreciate that they... yeah, Blue Magic Spellbook. I need to start filling these. I need to start filling these things out. Filling it out and finding the ways you can break the game are absolutely an intentional part of the Blue Mage job. I guess they figured they should make it special, since in most Final Fantasy games, whenever Blue Mage shows up, it absolutely breaks the game at all times. I guess because it's just... most enemy skills are only balanced in the sense of how they do to make a challenge for the player, not in terms of what if the player gets their hands on it, and so they kind of break the game in their own way. A lot of these. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Deals damage equals to 50% of the target's current HP. And success is low. It's honestly, the success rate isn't too bad if it's against random enemies. This actually does work on bosses, you just have to keep trying, so it absolutely does break the game if you're willing to dedicate to it. But yeah, it's a bit different because you don't use it for regular raiding and stuff. Its level cap is always a bit lower than the current max. I can only imagine... I'm sure people could beat ultimates with it if they're allowed. I don't know if that's possible. I'd have to check. I've stalled for long enough. Coda, it's an honor to have you with us, sir. I presume you've come to assist in our hunt for the blasphemy. Maxima and Lucy will be pleased to hear it if you would come this way. I've decided to do this on Reaper since that's more or less my main for this expansion, unless one of the others really impresses me, although I will say I have been liking Gunbreaker and Sage a lot. And Red Mage has always been up there, so hard to say, there's just a lot of fun ones. Good to see you, Coda, though I wish it were under more fortuitous circumstances. We were reluctant to call upon you, knowing you had but recently returned from the far reaches of the heavens, but we're no less glad for your aid. Oh yeah, these quests, yeah, while you're probably intend to do the role quests as you level from 85 to 90, and you can complete them before facing the final boss of the expansion. I believe the Master Role quest not only requires all of them defeated, but also the final boss, so... Now then, I believe best if the man who first discovered the blasphemy explain the situation. Fortuno. Ah, good. We'll go introductions then. Thank you for answering the call for assistance. This explains why Charlene cared so much about it. One of their own was directly present when it happened. As the situation at hand, it concerns a joint effort between the Forum and the Laporites to find purpose for the new moon. While there's no longer a need for a vessel to evacuate the star, we believe the moon may yet prove of use to the people of Atheres. After much contemplation, a rather ingenious proposal was put forward to transform the moon to a repository for man's knowledge, an archive hitherto unseen scale. Charlene has long had the honor of boasting comparable repositories in the world of knowledge, but is far from perfect. Should calamity befall us, natural or otherwise, the wisdom of the ages we've long harbored to preserve will be lost. But the moon is beyond any such risk. What's more, it is beyond jurisdiction of any one nation. Thus did we consult the allied nations of Eorzea, the Far East, and Razat. Indeed, they all agreed to assembling a survey team to take measure of the moon and its potential as a repository. Our plans for the assessment were forestalled, however, by the presence of an entity we believe to be a blasphemy within the Tower of Babel. Babil, huh? Yeah, it's obviously a reference to the Tower of Babel, but it's pronounced Babil according to, or something like that according to the story itself. Claims of Garlean citizens transforming into monsters shortly after its discovery only gave further credence to our initial supposition. But we've not only ill tidings to share, reinforcements have been dispatched to aid us in quelling the blasphemy threat. Lord Artorial and a member of the Gridania's Keepers of the Entwined Serpents have already begun an investigation into the catalyst of these transformations. Though the skies no longer burn, the spread of this affliction is much curtailed. We must remain vigilant. Until the blasphemy threat has been quelled, Alphino and Alze have graciously offered to help keep calm the people of Tertium while we attend to the people there. But the matter of the blasphemy is not easily resolved, I'm afraid. We recently met certain complications that have hindered our plans. Yugiri and Fordola are presently deliberating how to best resolve the situation. Perhaps it would be best if you heard the details directly from them. Dang, everybody's coming together for this one. I should like to join you if I may. This endeavor was originally undertaken on Charlene's behalf, and I feel it as this endeavor was originally undertaken on Charlene's behalf, I feel it is my responsibility to see it through to its conclusion. Oh yeah, while we're here, a funny thing about Fortuno. His wife, Alphino, and Alize's mother, is the one who handles the crafting job quests for this particular expansion. This normally isn't a big deal, except the crafting job stuff lets you customize the outfits of the people giving you the quest, which of course means, of course, you're gonna have everyone putting her in. Now, granted, this is. Let's not even mince words here. People are putting these characters in swimsuits and other costumes like that from the very start. I mean, what do you expect? However, because it's Alphina's mom, you can just bet your sweet bippy people are doing the mommy memes. Hilarious. Somehow I should have known you would turn up eventually. I did not expect to see you here of all places, but I'm no less glad for your presence. I presume the word of the blasphemy is what brought you here, in which case I believe it may be best if a member of the reconnaissance team's guard explains the situation. An acquaintance of yours? Yeah, long time no see, Lawrence. I dare tell ye we're of the worldly sort, but bugger me if I knew where you heard my name before. Yeah, he was only briefly touched upon during the melee role quest, but you can check there if you want to see his story, but yeah. I'm just a lowly sword for hire, out hoping to fatten my purse with a touch of mercenary work after taking my leave from Linsa. The job sounds simple enough, but well, I'm sure you wouldn't be here if it were, huh? I'm usually the nuclear option they call in, yes. But ye didn't come over all this way to hear about me, did ye? Blasphemy we're after is making its nest in the upper reaches of the Tower of Babil. The auxiliary sector, I believe it was. But it wasn't alone. A sizable horde of beasts were circling like knights protecting the queen. Naturally, we ought to strike from a distance for engaging in earnest, but not a single bullet reached its mark. They were protected by some manner of mystical shroud, far as I can tell. With the keen eye for magic, I don't see anyone getting through. By the time we understood the utility of the situation, we've been spotted. Retreat was our only option. Pains me to say it, but there won't be any brute force in our way through this one. My understanding is that once transformed, these blasphemies are completely devoid of ether. What energies could create such a barrier? That's the question, isn't it? My first thought was maybe some heretofore unknown technique for conjuring shields. Needless to say, I'm out of my depth when it comes to matters of magic. Which is precisely why I plan to speak with the Elder Seed Seer when she arrives. If anyone can help us find a way to overcome the blasphemy's protection, it's her. It could also be a dynamis shield. Itself is a dynamite-based attack. A powerful shield. Meantime, could we trouble you to help with the not-so-small people changing into beasts? The blasphemy horde was large enough when we first can't afford more to join us. Very well, we shall reconvene with Lord Artorial and discuss strategy. Go. There's something else you should know about the tower. The moment we set foot inside, I could swear there's someone or something watching us. I sure could all in my imagination, but I'm not so sure. Ourselves over. Finally return to the tower, eh? See what. By the way, he asked me to tell you to push yourself. No, that'll be. Yeah, Lord, he aptly the cold, I would hope. Tetsu would no doubt count himself fortunate to be absent if he knew we were here. Oh, what I get for a nice hot bowl of soup. Fortunate. Would appear the investigation into more recent reports of refugees transforming is well underway. For the entwined serpents. Under normal circumstances, I would never dream of leaving the Elder Seed Seer's side, but considering the nature of these blasphemies and the calamity they bring, she insisted a representative of Gridania precede her arrival. Ah, Coda, it is good to have you with us, my friend. Indeed, the road before us is not an easy one, but a man of your talents will prove invaluable to our efforts. I'm just good at smacking things pretty hard, but there's plenty of use in that for something like this, in a situation like this. We but recently returned from reconnaissance where we made a few rather surprising discoveries. First and foremost, we are pleased to discover no one residing within Camp Broken Glass our team have turned, no doubt thanks to the concerted efforts of Maxima, Alphino, and Alice. However, we have reason to believe those who did turn did hail from Locus Omonius, mean Corvos, the Garlean's ancestral home. The very same. When the ill effects of the final days began to manifest, a number of Garlean refugees went from the region to sought sanctuary in Garlemund. The capital was already in ruins when they arrived. They were offered asylum, but many refused and instead chose to fend for themselves on the outskirts of the city. We're of a mind to go speak with them directly if you wish to care to join us. Perhaps together we can learn about the recent circumstances that have triggered such a terrible change among their people. Oh, I hit decline, not accept. Time being of the essence, I believe it prudent we split into two groups and cover as much ground as quickly as we may, quickly as possible. If you and Master Fortuna would inquire the people here at Victor's spoils, the two of us shall see what we may learn at Liminal Station 4. When you finish, pray meet us here. Victor's spoils east of here, yes? Let us be off. Dude, dude, dude. I really did like the general story to this entire area. That said, I think I might have mentioned it in one of the earlier streams, but I do feel like they may have rushed the Garlean subplot a bit. I guess they wanted to get this one done by level 83 or so to get on with the primary plot about the final days. In one of the interviews they did, live letter interviews, they did state that they were originally planning to have the story end with 2 expansions, but they felt it was a bit long. One was a bit too short. And rather than have one long one, one short one, or try it, they decided to just put it all into one, like they're doing here. An understandable choice. And they sure were advanced with these kind of trains. Though derailing probably didn't help matters. Yeah, I think having this snowy area and all the stuff we dealt with here, and then have another area that was inside the city, the Regio Urbanissima, the whole city itself, would have tasted a bit better. If they should choose to reside here in the cold, I can but presume they will not be amenable to conversation. Even so, we must not be deterred. Come. Yeah, if they're willing to stay out here in the harsh cold rather than live in the city where they were, in fact, offered asylum, means they're probably absolutely against, yeah. Shall we meet back here when we finished? Yeah, I remember now. Can't imagine why you or anyone else would feign interest in our troubles, but if you insist. I found a great many of the people here were in the military at one time or another. Some retiring with honors, some without. Sadly, I'm one of the latter, bore one too many scars in battle. Even so, my contributions were enough to warrant leave to move to Locus Ammonius. It was a land of warmth and bounty. The Corvosi rebellion admittedly proved troublesome for a time, but it didn't take long for the Second Legion to quell their uprising, practically drown in the calm and quiet. Then one day the skies came alive with flame. We were overrun by all manner of foul beasts born of our brothers and sisters. The Second Legion barely had time to assemble their forces before they were overrun and snuffed out. We barely escaped with our lives. But we were greeted with only more wreck and ruin with our arrival here. Oh, rack and ruin. And we've not the strength to take our home back from the Corvosia a second time. There's nothing left for us anywhere. Ah, yeah, that person's probably doing the main story if he's here. Oh no, he might be a bit ahead of it, unless he's just doing all quests as well. Come to our grievances, have you? We've more than you have time to hear them, I'm sure. We've lost not one but 2 homes. Our loved ones, our livelihood, there's nothing left. I served my time in the military, aye, For what? To lose all my friends, my son? There's not to show for it but our claim to Locus Ammonius. Or so we thought. Calamity was visited upon us for reasons we know not, and when we thought to flee, it followed our heels to Garlemald. Ruin and ash at every turn. Talk? What's there to talk about? We've no home, no future, nothing. This doom spells the end for us all. I suppose that is the, that is the crux of the issue, is it not? I should probably hide the weapon here. Only because, you know, Giant Reaper Scythe is probably not the main thing these people want to see at the moment. You learn aught of how they came to be in such dire straits. See, I heard much the same. The military forces of Locus Ammonius were defeated in the wake of the final days. Desperate to survive, they naturally fled to Garlemald seeking sanctuary. It was their hope the might of the Empire would allow them to reclaim the home they were forced to abandon, but the capital was already in ruin when they arrived. Needless to say, the lands they long believed to be their ancestral home of the Guardian people may be forever lost to them. Those unfamiliar with history would believe they have always resided in bitter cold climes of North Ilsabard, but that's only after the Corvosi invaded 800 years prior. With the advent of Magitech, I imagine it was all too easy for Emperor Solus to rally his people and take back what they believed to be rightfully theirs. Yet history would tell us true. The land they call Locus Ammonius has been known by other names and served as a home to a myriad of people. Indeed, one may only look back at the Allegans' reign in the Third Astral Era to give the lie the Garleans claimed sovereignty. Yet even they had such ancestral ties to Locus Ammonius. Antecedents cannot justify their Yet even had they such ancestral ties, antecedents cannot justify their animosity to the foreign people. Animosity poorly veiled by delusions of justice, as has been the case for so many nations throughout history, would the man have the sense and strength of will to break free from such chains of hatred. Help, someone they've turned. I was about to say, the fact that Charlene stayed on the outside it does make them frustratingly elitist, but it does also mean people like Fortuno here do have a legitimately better perspective on things from the grand scheme, from the outside looking in. Another monster? Quickly, Coda, we haven't a moment to lose. Sounds like a job for my scythe. I might redo my Reaper outfit a bit, because nice as this one is, I'm sure there's still some things I can mix and match to make... I mean, my healer gear shown off in the healer role quest is a really nice one I like that was slowly put together over the course of several expansions. What happened? My mate seemed unwell, so I thought to come over and look on him. Next thing I knew, No one appears to be injured. Did he not attack? He just walked off in the direction of the tower, in a daze, as if it was calling to him. You know, I've gone far. If you would go after him, I'll remain here and see that all are accounted for. With how weak and weary he was, I doubt he'd be able to get very far. Oh. Well, I suppose he didn't, but the creature he turned into certainly got somewhere. Terminus Shrita. There we are. Might as well use this so I get the charge up my meter a bit. Did I forget to use Death Stain? Crap, I don't remember if I used Death Stain. I guess I've been playing too many other jobs if I'm forgetting such an important piece of the Reaper rotation. The debuff makes all damage I deal 10% higher for no cost other than keeping up the debuff. Although I guess to be fair, that still means this GCD here, use Shadow of Death or its AoE version every 30 to 60 seconds, so that is something, I guess. Beast is slain, then. Thank the heavens. For a blessing, no others have turned, and a measure of calm has restored, if only for a moment. Witnesses were able to offer a clue as the source of the transformation. They claimed he was listening to this radio. Even now, it plays the same cryptic message. Is it the same one from the story? I'm willing to bet it's a bit different. Empire no more, never rise again. Ashes. Oops, I accidentally clicked outside the window. Through distorted radio static, I hear a voice saying, "The Empire is no more. Never again shall it rise from the ashes." How is this possible? There are no facilities left standing that could possibly deliver a broadcast. Anima itself was capable of sending such a message. That's how Xenos and the others were able to create monsters and brainwash people to doing their bidding. Be that as it may, Anima is no more, and the Tower of Babel has fallen to disrepair, by your hand, no less. Which begs the question, who, or perhaps what, could be behind this? Hoda, Master Fortuno, a moment if you would. Ah, the leaders have arrived. Shortly after we finished our inquiry at Liminal Station 4, Lord Americ and Admiral Merlewib arrived and requested an audience. Apologies for our late arrival. Knowing firsthand of the devastation of which blasphemies are capable, I discussed the matter with the Admiral, and we were at one mind the situation warranted our immediate presence. Is it safe to presume a representative of the security team survey team has already arrived? Indeed I have. Thank you for coming all this way on such a short notice. Recent events here at the camp have proved most enlightening. You see, I was hoping Fortuna would get what I meant by that. When I said that Anima was capable of it, my point is a sufficiently powerful creature might be able to use that somehow. This is the aforementioned radio. Empire. No more. Never again. Rise. Ashes. A harsh reminder of their misfortune, sufficient to push some wayward few over the edge, it would seem. Yet there still remains a question of who is sending this message and from where. Glory. Everlasting. Garlemon. The glory everlasting for Garlemon? Can't be. You recognize this message? A mantra often spoken by Lord Nerva. Anyone who lived in the provinces under his authority could scarcely forget those words. He sought to claim the throne after the assassination of Emperor Varus, did he not? After civil war broke out, he all but disappeared according to intelligence we managed to gather. How could he have managed to breach the tower undetected? To do so and remain unnoticed by the creatures infesting the tower seems like a near impossible task. Unless... Exactly, do you think the voice on the radio is the blasphemy that was once Nerva? I do, and as it was with Anima, these radios are somehow attuned to whatever signal it emits from the tower. What's more, I believe the true identity of the blasphemy is Nerva. Robbed of the throne and forced to watch the empire he longed to command crumble before his very eyes. If such a loss did not drive him to the same fate as Quintus, the despair he felt no doubt overcame and turned him. Poor Quintus. Perhaps it was better he was spared all this, although don't get me wrong. My opinions about him when I did the map, gathered the air currents for this map, I recapped a lot of the events, and my thoughts on him haven't really changed. The winds of change are blowing, and he simply refused to adapt. I get where he was coming from, but at the same time, I can't forgive him because he knew very well he was throwing his own men into their death. But I suppose it's easy to say that when not in a situation where death without honor and death with honor are basically the only options that appear available. Nara's delusions of grandeur aside, the Garlean's plight sounds not unlike the Sahagin, desperate to preserve their spawning grounds. Indeed, though unscrupulous by any measure, the Garleans have found solidarity in their ideology, as do the people of Ishgard in the church. Adrift without home or purpose, it's all too easy for despair to take hold. Would that a remedy were as simple as offering them land as we did the Sahagin. In all likelihood, the Garleans would refuse to settle for anything less than what they believe to be their ancestral homeland, a claim the Corvosi would readily take arms to denounce. We would do well not to further fan the flames of animosity between them. Then perhaps at the very least we can offer them peace of mind and a means to gather some semblance of stability in their lives. To offer them true comfort and stability, then, Garlemald has to be rebuilt. It is by no means an easy solution, but perhaps the only one worthy of pursuit. Of course, this new Garlemald must remain a sovereign nation, free from the oversight of others. That's actually a very reasonable suggestion, also one I'm kind of surprised he'd make. By making it not... A lot of countries would understandably prefer to make a new Garlemald as a puppet state, for two reasons. First of all, it does give them a measure of power over it, and it's hard to deny not just power for the sake of it, but also money and resources for your own people. Well, that's one of the reasons the Garlemald themselves were invading, after all. Not just to unite everyone under their banner, but also because they need the... As you can see, this place is near inhospitable. They absolutely need the resources from conquest to survive. And of course to prevent another Garlean Empire from rising. To allow a sovereign nation will give these people the peace of mind they need and help them rebuild after all this, after the whole shit show and all that, but it does mean it's not impossible for them to start going on the conquest again, although don't get me wrong, I highly doubt they're going to be in any state to do it anytime soon. After all, Xenos and the army were completely obliterated at the end of the storyline. They have no way to... Yeah, basically, Quintus was in such a shit situation, he made a child one of his most trusted generals, or some equivalent. I don't remember which rank he had, but it was directly stated that someone that young reaching that level was almost unheard of. It could just be that he was that skilled, but given that we saw their machines are falling apart, their supplies were low and everything, I think Quintus was just desperate to have people in charge. At least that's my take on it. It's entirely possible, the kid was also rather skilled for his age, but again, I think there were a lot of circumstances pushing him to a higher rank than he normally might have been able to achieve as a Garlean army member. Why they would see no meaning in it otherwise. If I'm not mistaken, Alice and Alphino have already made strides in helping the people here regain some normalcy in their day-to-day living. Most important first step, but it'll mean little without proper leadership. Rather than a single individual, perhaps a governing body of sorts prove effective. Yeah, and a governing body would also mean any attempts to invade and stuff would be met with opposition, and they'd be arguing over too much to actually make any action. There are a number of former Senate members among the refugees at Camp Broken Glass, I recall. With their help, creating a framework for a new governance is not an impossibility. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you do need someone in charge to help get things organized, otherwise you won't go anywhere. Won't be going anywhere very quickly. I mean, you can get an effort together without that, but as I said, it's not going to be nearly as efficient. Alright, then let's call people together, see what they make of our proposal. The final days have taken much from you all. I can but imagine the pain you feel on the face of such innumerable loss. And though the final days have been averted, its effects yet linger, and a blasphemy has been born of your suffering. Decisive action must be taken before further harm is wrought upon you. To overcome such adversity is too great a task for any one person, but as a people united, there may be hope for tomorrow. While it's not our place to decide how you will move forward, we would offer some small measure of guidance. We are told a number of your former members of your Senate yet remain among you. Would you be amenable to an interim government led by these individuals until such a time that Garlemald can be rebuilt? Rebuild Garlemald? Is such a thing truly possible? Even if we do cobble together some governing council, they won't have anything of the pile of ash. They won't be able to make anything of the pile of ash we dare to call Garlemald. There's no going back to Locus Ammonius either. Rack and Ruin. Those are our only options. I realize to rebuild Garlemald is a seemingly impossible task, but you may not take it alone. My children are working with members of the First Legion as we speak to get an organized relief effort. and there are others from the provinces, no doubt willing to lend their expertise. You will need but ask, not as would-be conquerors, but brothers and sisters of the Star, and others to heed your call. If you should see no merit in the rebuilding Garlemald, I instead offer you residency in Charlian. I promise you'll be welcome with open arms. Charlian? Now what? So now you'd expect us to go and lick boots in some country we've never even heard of? My apologies if I feel overly forward with my proposition. Considering our strict policies on non-intervention until but recently, it's not surprising you are unfamiliar with my homeland. It is an island nation to the north, home to a myriad of people, which is why I believe it would not prove difficult to accommodate you and yours. To be clear, you would not be migrating to Charlian to live in servitude. You have my word, each and every one of you will be guaranteed citizenship upon entry. And why exactly would you go such lengths for us, for the conquerors that you barely even know? Charlene was long aware of the coming doom that would be the final days, and so we were preparing to evacuate the star, take as many people and resources as our stores would allow. Initially, it was our intent to save the people of Garlemald as well, but we have not forgotten your transgressions invading Alamigo, your rejection of our entreaties for peace. After a great deal of deliberation, it was decided we would forego an invitation to Garlemald, a determination made with great trepidation. We had convinced ourselves it was ultimately for the greater good, though I can think of at least one individual who would continue to protest. To ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it's indolence. Sage Council and I brazenly cast aside when confronted when the final days began in earnest. Koda and his companions refused to forsake those we were otherwise unwilling to save. With great risk to themselves, they achieved the impossible and opened my eyes to the error of the Forum's decision. If all other roads lead to ruin regardless, perhaps we should at least consider it. And it would be my pleasure to invite you all to Camp Broken Glass, where you shall have warm food and beds both. Not everyone's feeling up to it, but that's fine. It is ultimately up to them after all. If we force them, then that defeats the purpose of all of this. Admiral Mirlwib and I shall speak with Maxima and the others and consider how best to assist the Garleans moving forward. Should we broach the subject of the blasphemy, however, we will not hesitate to call upon you. Hey, you have my scythe anytime you need it. Oopsie. I made a mistake. This is a very long cutscene, but I can get it through here immediately. Well, we've learned everything here. For some reason, I keep mixing up the complete and decline options. I think I mentioned it before, but I do wish they had some times when they would not have the quest accepted and quest completed jingles. As catchy as they are, they do feel a bit out of place for some of the more serious ones like this. Misguided few. Though visibly relieved the Garleans are safe, the hardiness in Fortuno's eyes suggests your work is far from over. With the Garleans hot at ease, the likelihood of others turning is greatly diminished. That said, it is no cause for us to grow complacent. There must needs be a way to overcome the blasphemy's protective warding. If I understand correctly, the blasphemy's behavior is often influenced by the memories and emotions of its originator, in which case it would be prudent to learn more of the man who birthed this monstrosity. How fortuitous, then, a number of soldiers from the 3rd Legion are in our custody. For our mercy, their tempering was not so severe as to be beyond our ability to heal them. They are presently being treated at Camp Broken Glass. Perhaps the camp's intelligence officer can tell us who among them knows about Nerva's whereabouts. Do 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 do. See. Then perhaps it'd be best if you speak with Virgila, legatus of the Third Legion. She's still on the mend, but the Trojans aren't like to oppose a brief conversation, if you would wait here a moment. Erozia's champion, I presume, and one of his cohorts? Business have you with me? Ilsabad is faced with imminent crisis, and we believe the knowledge you bear may be key in stopping it. No, I forgot what I was going to say. Thus do we believe the blasphemy to be Nerva. His whereabouts in the wake of Garlemon's fall, or lack thereof, would give credence to our theory. Lord Nerva. From what we have pieced together thus far, you were one of the last to see him alive. Would you please share with us what you know? Very well, though I suspect what meager knowledge I possess shall avail you not. I last spoke with Lord Nerva shortly before warring with the First Legion began. Cloistered within the lower levels of Seneculum Imperialis, he spent the better part of the day listening attentively to the radio. He seemed hopeful, or perhaps desperate, for news that the tide might turn in our favor. The next day, I left for the front line. I was there when I heard a terrible noise, which I assumed came from the Tower of Babil. Then darkness took me, and I remember naught after that. I was told the radio has protected those close to them from the effects of the tower, in which case Lord Nerva would have remained unaffected. But he has never been devoted to Garlemon, for glory everlasting, he would say. To watch the empire he loves so dearly crumble, I can think of no one who would be more stricken by the sight. I must have misread that one then. It would seem we were right to assume what became of Nerva then. And it does not surprise me that the beast would choose to make its nest within the Tower of Babil. It stands atop the remains of the Imperial Palace, and the throne he revered so highly. The Empire's no more, and Nerva apparently is no longer the man he once was. He deserves to be laid to rest, together with his dreams of glory. You'll fell the beast, of this you have my word. Apologies for the interruption. Kane-san has arrived. We are ready to depart. It is good to see you, Kota, Master Fortuno. I have spoken with Lawrence of the Ward protecting the blasphemy, and I am quite confident some manner of ether-based magic blocks our path. So it isn't Dynamis. If I may be so bold, Elder Seedseer, we reached the same conclusion initially, but it simply isn't possible. These creatures born in the final days are devoid of ether. As such, they should be unable to produce such a barrier in a manner to which we are accustomed. You think it's possible they manipulated Dynamis to achieve a similar effect? I too thought to dismiss the notion of a barrier fueled by ether, that is, until I stepped foot here in Garlemald, as now I can sense the streams of ether flowing towards the tower. Its purpose was, of course, after all, to harvest reserves of energy sufficient to reach the moon. Even if one was incapable of manipulating ether directly, it stands to reason control of the tower would alleviate such a need. It is merely conjecture, of course. I can't say for certain until I've examined the currents with my own eyes, but I ask you to accompany us. Sounds good to me. I would join you as well if I may. My injuries would keep me from being of use in battle, but my knowledge of the land should serve just as well as my blade. I would not be opposed to your company, but it's not my decision to make. May go as long as she remains under watch by you and the others. Very good. Might I suggest we begin with Regio Urbanissima? I sense the greatest confluence of ether in that vicinity. I think the Garlemald story might have been a bit paced better if it had been split into the main snowy area like where we are now and the main city itself, because it feels like we barely spent any time in the city proper before we end up fighting Xenos and Fandaniel. Just my imagination, but I can't help but feel we're being watched again. I'll never understand how anyone can grow accustomed to such cold climes. I heard working with Aldin should be... I heard word that Aldin should be arriving before long. I gotta picture him knocking his knees, muttering under his breath of the cold. It would seem I underestimated the resourcefulness of our adversary. Might not seem like much, just having him casually mention that he messed up like that is actually quite a change of his character from the start. I mean, he refused to acknowledge much of anything when Endwalker started. As I thought, the ether stream here flows towards the tower, as do all in this region, no doubt. This convergence first began when the Telephoroi erected spires in all corners of Eorzea to fuel the Tower of Babil, but once destroyed, this divergence of ether should have ceased. Alright, whoever you are, if you have business with us, quit your skulking about in the shadows and speak your piece. What's the tower? What do you want with it? My, you're sharper than you look. It's Nero, our old buddy. I recognize you. Nero, yes? Why are you following us? In the shadows, no doubt. I mean, we're not enemies anymore. Who said I'm following you? Being a native Garlemald does not stand to reason I might be inclined to come and see what's become of my home. Not what you're scheming, but we've no time to entertain your games. Perhaps Master Garland would make better company for you. Oh, spare me, said Garland. Oh yeah. Spare me, I'm a man of great ambition, greater intellect, far beyond the scope of anything Garland could hope to achieve. He still keeps his head in the clouds, while I would set my sights to the stars beyond. Which is why he's stuck in the tower, but like us, you couldn't get past the blasphemy to reach the transporter. Yes, well, I was very much hoping you could dispense that little obstacle. Having caught wind of your plans, curiosity compelled me to see if you were truly up to the task. You have reason to believe we're not, or perhaps does the great genius Nero mean to dispense the blasphemy himself? Far be it from me to steal your glory, having come all this way, but as I'm feeling generous, I'll tell you what I've learned during my stay in the Tower of Babil. I was able to access its systems, you see, and discovered one of the dreadful spires still appears to be active. Impossible! They all vanished when Anima was destroyed. Yes, I've heard of your escapades in reclaiming the remains of the Emperor, but obviously you failed to reclaim his entire body. As it stands, a piece remains powering the tower at Fabrica. Ah yes, the manufacturing district just north of the erstwhile Imperial Palace. A rather impressive feat considering how these lands are so utterly devoid of ether, barely enough to sustain life, let alone the spire. I was wondering why it was still standing, even though we found out that once Anima's influence is gone, the towers, like the Tower of Zot, all vanish. But if one were to use Varus' remains to forcibly create a confluence of sorts... So, does this mean Varus is now split into different parts like Genova was in Final Fantasy VII? Precisely, and from what I've gleaned of the tower systems, his heart serves as its core. Coursing not with blood, but your precious ether, and now Nerva has amassed to survey to shore up his defenses. How fortuitous he should find so perfect an impetus for his design, stolen from better minds than his own. How very like him. Oh, did I say that loud? You'll forgive me if I fail to show concern for your ire. What you say is true. These lands could never truly hope to recover from such a paucity of life energies. We must hurry and find Varus's heart, to both spare the land wanton harvesting and deny the blasphemy the source of its protection. Are we to presume you have any intention of aiding us? As I said, I have no intention of stealing your glory, though I fear victory may soon slip from your fingers if you do not act quickly. The Tower of Babil was designed specifically for Anima to serve its core. Nerva forcing himself upon the system has caused it to grow increasingly unstable. If my calculations are correct, and they always are, it will not be long before his presence triggers a system meltdown. The resulting explosion will destroy whatever tenuous streams of ether breathe life into the lands of Garlemald. But more importantly, we will lose our only means of reaching the moon. The heavens forever denied my genius. How very unfortunate. How so very unfortunate. In any event, 'twould seem time is of the essence. That's all well and good, but even if we know which district to search, finding the heart will be like looking for a needle in a bloody haystack. Actually, I may know where we can start. It's all rather hazy, but I still have vague recollections of my time serving Anima when I was enthralled. We were commanded to erect some manner of facility tucked away in a corner of Fabrica. I remember not what it was for, but it's a good place as any to begin our search. Certainly sounds promising, but surely this facility would be heavily guarded. Then maybe it'd be best for us to divide our forces. If it's just the four of us, it shouldn't prove too difficult task to sneak inside and find the heart. Meanwhile, our main force can stand ready to storm the Tower of Babil when the barrier gives out. Leave it to us. I'd like to be the one to make sure to handle that blasphemy, since I'm clearly the most qualified person here to be taking them out, if we're blunt. They've had so much pain. It will be a mercy to stop them. Or rather, I'll be stopping them for sake of a mercy, not revenge. This is Levier. What? Very well, we shall return at once. A number of Garleans have left the camp for Tower of Babil. They have somehow misunderstood the threat of the tower and convinced themselves that Nerva's taken refuge there, still clinging to their ill-placed patriotism, no doubt. They could not have gone far. If we act quickly, perhaps we can find them before they come to harm. A wise man would not waste his time on a few wayward refugees. I thought you Charlene scholars knew better. To ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, sir. It's all the same to you, Coda. I join you. I'll return to camp, begin preparations for our assault on the tower. As nice as it would be to see what the heart of Varus and all that looks like, I'm well aware that my talents are better spent taking on Nerva. So, and I suppose I should go as well. Though I am unarmed, I promise not to be a burden. That said, it would behoove us to avoid any undue confrontations if possible. Let's be off. These enemies are really easy at this point, at this gear level, but I'm still gonna try and avoid them. I believe the automated death machines are based off of the war mechs from Final Fantasy I, which were a surprise enemy that was way stronger than you'd expect for the area in which they show up. It's of interest. Trace them here, let's keep searching. Let's go around the pillar so they don't notice me. Alright, let's go here. I guess we couldn't escape here without at least one more escort, though they have been making the escort missions a lot less frustrating lately, so I do appreciate that. I think I mentioned at first that I was kind of mixed on them, because on one hand I do like stuff like speak. You've no time to lose. If they should reach the tower, there's no telling what may happen to them. Yeah, speaking with them as the events unfold can cause some interesting discussions, and of course optional dialogues when they appear are always nice, but they can't mount, and only after the patch were they able to teleport with you, so... Help someone, please! Do you hear that? It's coming from over there. There we are. They're understandably shaken, but otherwise they appear unharmed. Well, we saved at least this group. You're the ones who came and spoke with us before. We heard Lord Nervad returned, assembling his forces in the tower, but... Well, what you heard is technically not wrong, but the context is off a little. No, not Lord Nerva, no! Really has nothing left for us? I'll not deny your situation is dire, but you are not without a path forward. I believe you have a passionate conviction needed to rebuild Garlemald if you choose. Failing that, you can begin your life anew in Charlian. Rebuild Garlemald? Sure, no. There's no point in entertaining such a lofty dream, and we'd sooner die than suffer a life under the rule of another. We'd sooner seek death than sanctuary. Your resolve is admirable, but sorely misplaced. If you would not see Garlemald rise from the snow and ashes here in Ilsabard, might you consider venturing into a new frontier? New frontier? Where exactly is this land ripe for exploration? There, on the moon. It is our goal to create a repository of man's knowledge there, free from the jurisdiction of any nation. As I understand it, Magitech and the technological advancements of Garlemald were without peer. Your expertise would be indispensable in this endeavor, should you be willing, of course. You will expect us to live on the bloody moon? Is such a thing even possible? A better alternative. Lest you forget, Garlemald did not rise to grandeur from complacency in the present or rumination in the past. We live for the future, it is in our blood. Life is not without its hardships, of course. Even I have met with the occasional stumbling block. But even should I stumble, my eyes are forever fixed skyward, seeking ever greater heights. The Empire may be lost, but I still possess a great deal of knowledge gained from it and a desire to seek more. The very nation of exploring the moon is an unprecedented prospect, and that you balk at the proposition boggles the mind. Consider this. You've heard the beasts of the final days were born of those hapless souls that have given up on everything, yes? If that's indeed the case, can you tell me why you still stand before me? Because deep down, you believe your life is yet worth living. Deep down, you long to reach for the unreachable. Or perhaps you don't. If you choose to lay down and die here in the snow, that's none of my concern. Harsh, but perhaps the words he needed to hear. Reach for the unreachable. That does sound like something I would have said back at the academy. Alright, we'll go. I suppose it's better than dying here in the snow, as you so grimly put it. Then we must first dispense the blasphemy that commands that tower. Hard to believe Lord Nerva of all people could be turned into one of those monsters. Please, you must stop him. Put his soul to rest. Hey, that's my job as a Reaper. Thank you, and I'm sorry for causing this trouble. Thank you for the rousing call to action, but I thought you had no interest in meddling with our affairs. Unless you misunderstand, I abhor the idea of my countrymen blindly following nobles they know next to nothing about. Besides, it would be most a piteous sight for not a single Garling to being among those venturing the moon. Who else might prevail on learning of new findings up there? So I can sell that one. Black mages love their casting speed. Actually, I will decline it because I want to speak to Nero first. I told myself I would not get overly involved, and here I am. Yeah, Nero is one of the main antagonists for A Realm Reborn, basically acting as the rival to Cid Garland, who was working with us in order to find out who could make better technology. And over time, especially during the... Honestly, for as much as the Crystal Tower raid is popular because of Grahatia and the Shadowbringers expansion, all that, I think one of the more memorable parts of the Crystal Tower raid itself was Nero himself, for gradually he becoming less evil and more just tsundere. Forlorn glory. Fortuno is eager to regroup and ready for battle. From what Nero's told us, time is a luxury we can ill afford. Let us return to Camp Broken Glass only for a moment. The others are no doubt finishing their preparations for battle. And for the record, I don't think whether my character has to go see the heart or go attack the blasphemy would have mattered. While the game has occasionally experimented with choices that actually matter, for example, there was one Eureka that actually matters, and the Nier Automata one has a choice that actually does impact a few things. But by and large, those are the exception, not the rule. And by and large, they don't change any major story contribution. They're just stuff that, well, they do matter in terms of a character's personal story, but they don't change the overall story, so it seems like they're experimenting with that sort of thing, but I'm not going to get my hopes up towards them actually making some meaningful choices. I should hope the other's absence means all proceeds apace. Good, you're here. With the recent arrival of reinforcements, our preparations are all but complete. Apologies for our lateness, it seems we're at least in time to help deliver the crushing blow. Aye, and if the fates are kind, this will be the last we see of these damnable blasphemies. Isn't that an oxymoron? Commander Aldin, Lord Ian, thank you both for coming. Yes, of course, understood. Lawrence and the others have reclaimed Varus's heart. The barrier protecting the blasphemy should soon dissipate. Then the time has come at last to storm the Tower of Babil. Admiral Mirlueb and Lord Amaric awaited arrival at space. Then we should be about it, eh? I suppose this is as good an opportunity as any to keep my hammer from rusting over. Well, I appreciate your help. I'll accompany you as well. As the forum's representative and a member of the survey team, I feel it's my responsibility to see this through to the end. Huh, I didn't take you for the fighting type. Despite appearances, I'm no stranger to the battlefield. Indeed, I've seen my fair share, traveling the world in service to the forum. Though I may not be the equal of Alphino or Alizé, we shall not find ourselves wanting, I can promise you that much. When you've all finished your preparations, we shall reconvene at the Encladium. Wonder if I should do this as a tank, just because it means, just because that seems to be... No, I think, technically... Technically, Raubon is a gladiator, which is a tank. So yeah, we have a full party here, regardless of what job I am, which is probably why they decided to have this one be the... You can be any job you want for it. Speaking of which, I really do like the, where is it? I really do like the Hyperion model for the Gunbreaker. I hope the Endwalker relics are really nice looking. Here we go. And don't worry that I just reset my meters. A duty will automatically reset it. Oh, he's actually got the Sage weapon equipped. Nice. All present and accounted for. So, shall we proceed? Your progress will be saved at certain points in the event you're defeated. You can try again from the recent check. Okay, so there's checkpoints. Please note, if you enter battles associated with other quests or log out, progress will be lost. I'm probably over-geared for this if we're completely honest, since I have a full set of endgame-worthy gear on my Reaper, but... Well, looks like we've got our whole our buddy team here. Super Buddy Force Unite. Our objective is simple. Locate and eliminate the blasphemy Nerva. Though the barrier guarding him is no more, a number of beasts will surely block the way at the auxiliary sector. Off to a smashing start, I see. It would seem the tower will reach its limit sooner than I anticipated. If we're to save the transporter, we must hurry and find Nerva, now. Dang, it's not often we get to see all the leaders at once like this. Now everyone gets to show what they're made of. Duty commenced. Should go without saying, but stay on your guard. There was quite a menagerie of horrors when I was last here. Reach the top of the Tower of Babel. Onward. Of course I forgot to soul so, why wouldn't I? They're upon us, to arms! Oops, mistake there. Mirlueb and I shall hold them off. Press on, friends.
The path has been revealed. The winds favor us.
Persistent lots, aren't they?
Down with you!
I shall hold the line. When you see an opening, take it. Do not look back. Iron near Noah. Never did make things easy. Let's get this over with. Wow, my fingers completely moved to the side. More coming, stay sharp. There's no end to them. Damn you, Fortuno! There we go. Everything in a line. Careful, Olivia. They have their sights set on you. The amount of self-healing I can get from that is really good. Forgot to activate this. Oops. How embarrassing. But what matters is I've got a lot of AoE here. Oh dear, this isn't pleasant. I see the rabble, he hopes the large one there. Very well with me, Coda. Oh, there's no positionals. Oh dear. Come on, I need this thing up to buff the party. Blow the damage take increase the priest. There we are, got it. Well, I didn't do the rotation as optimally as I could have, but still managed to do it. Is that the last of them? Of course not. We can't afford to let them impede our advance any further. Commander Aldin, let us hold them here. Master Fortuno, take the others and go, quickly. Understood. So... Blasphemy, Nerva Ye Galvis. So, the man of the hour is here. Or the blasphemy. Leave now. Garlemon is mine. Wait, this is same as the boss from at the end of the Amuro dungeon. This ends here, Nerva, for Garlemon, for people and all that call this star home. Blasphemy or no, I'll not suffer anyone who gets in my way. Glory everlasting for Garlemon. Oh, I don't have to worry about positionals at all for these fights. That actually makes me feel a lot better. Here you go, that is. Garlemon. I probably want to be positioning between these ones, right? Yeah. The Reaper tank lives. Oh no. Bravest ego. Hold, Kota. Rescue. We must take the offensive. Oops, I accidentally miscalculated that. Egoeris. Apocalypsis. Oh dear. I'll know to trust it. Hello, fellow casters. Here I am. Fractured ego. Brave ego. I know what I need to do. Oh, I guess I should realize. Forgot. I actually have a healer in this fight. Yeah, I am doing a really shitty rotation right now. Well, leave it to me to mess up my rotation when I'm actually streaming. To me, my legion. This will sting. Well, that helped. You can thank me later. Find me quickly. I shall take the brunt of it. Ojito Ego Stream. Oh wow, where did you get that shield? I want that on my stage. must drive it back. There we are, blowback. Too far to give up now. Don't worry, I can finish this on my own. Let's put an end to this, shall we? Oh my, he's getting stronger. I need to finish this, and I need to finish it now. Yeah, it's over. He's not gonna beat my out DPS my super mode. I did it. We did it. For glory everlasting indeed. Is it over? Has the danger passed? By a hair's breadth, perhaps, but yes, I dare say we managed to avoid a fiery ruin. Our path to the moon is open once more. The duty of Charlian has ever been to chart the course of history, not to change it. Thus did we fervently hold to our policies of neutrality and non-intervention. In truth, it was all in service of our plan to Exodus, to abandon this star to its ruinous fate. Harsh though it may sound, I still believe it was ultimately for the greater good. Thanks to you and your comrades, however, it was a fate that did not come to pass. Well, I suppose I can't be too harsh with him. At the end of the day, he was doing what he believed in just as we were. Even if I'll never agree. That's one thing I will say, he does stick to what he believes in. Charlene will now find a new way forward, not merely for the preservation of knowledge, but for the betterment of the star, and for all who call it home. I believe I speak for the Forum when I say it would be an honor and privilege to work towards such a goal alongside the Allied nations. Aye, an age of true and everlasting peace is finally within our grasp, and we should seize it together. Hey Nero, how are you feeling? As much as I would enjoy a riveting conversation with the Eorzeus champion, I really must make for the moon. If now I feel excuse me. It is a relief to know we've no longer a need for battle. Despite my experience, I must confess I am ill-suited to it. The Allied nation leaders, meanwhile, demonstrated an aptitude for combat far and above what I might have expected from diplomatic figures. And you, my friend, I now see why you're so well regarded as Eorzeus champion. Nah, I was just smacking it like everyone else. Those have already begun their arduous journey home, but before you go, I offer a word of thanks to the both of you. Not for your timely assistance, our plans will be forfeit, and the lands of Ilsabard forever defiled by the blasphemy. Please, I've no need for your platitudes. I labor only to further my own ends and nothing more. But Baka. Bear the news. Thank you for everything. With Lord Nerva laid to rest, we have the peace of mind to move on without regret. Ah, there you are. Now this is what I've heard. Now, what's this I've heard about you cleaning out the Tower of Babil? Are we finally ready to return to the moon? Ah, what fortuitous timing. Allow me to introduce you to Livingway the Laportes, Moon Dweller and Overseer of the survey team. Leaving way, these good people will be the moon's first residents. I trust you and the other Loports will take good care of them. Pleased to, meet you. Residents, oh no. I mean, yes, splendid. After many long years of planning and preparation, the moon is absolutely, most definitely ready to accommodate your stay. Glad to hear it, and apologies for the delay. I must first confer with Lawrence and see to our final preparations, but your residence to be in the survey team shall be along ere long. Might I trouble you to relay words of success to Shiraba in Raza Han? I think the tidings should be all the more heartening coming from you. Until next time we meet. Wait, you're not leaving the moon without me. Guess it's time to head back. It's true then, the blasphemy in Garlemon's been struck down. They were right to call on you, it seems. I have no other outstanding reports of blasphemy sightings. I dare say slaying the last of them. Perhaps now we can finally put an end to we can finally start to put the final days behind us, strange though that may sound. On behalf of my fellow delegates, the Radiant Host, I extend you our humblest thanks. I hope when I next call on you, it will be under more fortuitous circumstances. Sum of our parts. Forlorn Glory. Title, Blessed Relief. Ah, the mighty returns. You can almost hear the world taking collective sigh of release with the blasphemy defeated. Still, that's no excuse for us to rest our laurels. We will remain diligent in our search for potential threats, and if any should arise, I hope we'll be able to call upon you once more. And that is the final Master Roll quest. I suppose it's fitting, since the Reaper apparently has its origins in the Garlean Empire itself. Although mostly used as a Black Ops sort of deal, if I remember right, so the general public wouldn't be aware of them. Now, I'm a bit early, but feels like a bit much to be doing that. Maybe I should split this VOD in half and go for a new game. Yes, I think that'll do the trick. However, I'll be splitting this up for YouTube, so if you're watching this on YouTube, this will be where it ends. As this is an MMO, it'll continue to be updated, so as long as I'm up for it, I'll be more than happy to continue as the story goes. Until next time, thank you for watching, hope you had a good time, and I'll see you later.